Coffin blind crow, Andy, Gary and Regan attempt stubble field stealth with some unorthodox goose calls.
Here we go, look! Look at that, straight in!
Spot the white pheasant. We track down the bummer of a birthmark albino and ask what it's for these days. Plus we're giving away another £350 air pistol. We have news, we have hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain.
I think you've done this before.
Yeah, thank you.
Looks really professional. Thank you.
3 years ago, we produced a film about professional goose shooting in Sweden with Roy Lupton for gun sight manufacturer Aimpoint. It's done rather well, clocking up more than 1 million views.
That is a lot of fun. Excellent. I think we got a few on that one.
Well, this evening, inspired by that film, Andy Crow has spotted an opportunity to try out his own version of the slick Swedish operation.
Here we go, look! Look at that, straight in!
Oh dear.
We've got several geese coming in here, not millions, but it's probably a couple of 300 coming in, maybe a few more. We got here really early, because it's all a bit of a learning curve for me and Gary. We both like shooting standing up. We love the old geese and we've usually got bale eyes or whatever out in the field, but tonight we've got these pop-up hides and we're going to give them a go.
You must have been doing some reconnaissance on here.
Yeah, we have. We've been watching it. Me and Regan come Saturday night. We've been out on the pigeons. We popped back in here and I was on the other field, but then I watched it again Sunday night and I watched it again last night. They tend to come from, there's a couple of lakes over further, they come from there. They come in and we was watching them last night and they come in quite nicely. There's one big skein comes in, then there's a couple of medium skeins and then a couple of little skeins, but it depends how they come tonight. It's been nice all day, there's been a bit of wind and it's been drizzly rainy and that's what we was hoping it was going to be tonight. But sun's come out now, it's because you've turned up, David.
Yeah.
Sun shines on the Righteous, is that the one?
Yeah, on the David Righteous.
David Righteous, yeah. So what do you have to do, David? Have the gun down alongside and then jump up and go, whoa, bosh. Yeah?
Were you supposed to take that on holiday with you? Where'd you put your drink? Where's this from? It says, hold on a second, Tenerife. Playa de Americano.
David.
Please do not take out of the resort. We're going to have to play with this colour a bit, gents. We
are going to have to cut. You can't even see it going on this stubble. Right.
David, could have got one with a cup holder.
That's my seat.
Oh, sure.
You ain't sitting in my seat, Mush.
Oh, okay.
I was going to sit this end.
Got a towel on that already. It's mine, it's mine.
There, go there, go there.
Well, why's behind over there then?
Because
we can bring it, mate. Bring the hide. He's going miles away.
He's got the hump now, hasn't he?
Look, he's off.
People say they're not very good eating, but me and Gary, we chuck them all in the mincer anyway and make burgers. No, we're not going to shoot hundreds. Yeah, they are good. We're not going to shoot hundreds tonight. We're going to shoot what we want. They are a problem and you're allowed to shoot them, so.
Are you slightly out of your comfort zone here, Gary?
Yes, definitely. Takes me 10 minutes to get up in the morning, David. I think the geese have finished feeding time I get up.
Hope you've been working on your abs. There's going to be a lot of core strength coming in.
I'm going to roll.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Yeah, tuck and roll, I think this is going to be.
That's why he's got Regan in here, can now push him up.
By the way, I am really pushing that out at the moment. This is how I should be. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought a net then?
There she come, but she's a bit light, isn't she?
She is a bit light.
Andy and cousin Gary do their best gathering loose straw to camouflage the seaweed blinds, and make Regan disappear under netting.
That's it. Right, you've got to keep your head covered up, right?
Okay.
And when Grandad says now,
Yeah.
that's when me and Gary are going to shoot. Well, when Gary says now, that's when we're going to shoot.
No, I don't think that's to me.
Well, you always do. Then you can push that off like that, okay?
Just see what's going on.
Yeah, but don't lift up. You stay down, okay?
Otherwise we've got to put you
So
back to bed
right.
again.
So when we say now, now. That's it. Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Looking forward to this. You're laughing, Dave. You're going to do the same to you now, mate.
Showing off now, Gary. You sure it's this field and not the other one?
Oh, don't.
Laying in wait like this is exciting, and as the anticipation builds, the guys start seeing the potential for using this for other types of shooting.
We could have shot 8 or 10 pigeons already, and they're coming into geese decoys. So if we'd had pigeon decoys out there, I don't think you want it too mad. Just half a dozen real pigeons out there, real reelings out there on cradles, and I'm pretty sure they decoy well.
They're a bit late, but finally we get some geese coming to feed.
Mate, mush, here we go, look! Look at that, straight in! Yeah, right.
It's a couple of Egyptian geese. In the excitement, Andy misses his, but Gary erupts from his blind and takes a great shot. We get a cool wide-angle view from a new GoPro.
Here they are, round the left of the building. 2 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them. Well, I'll shoot them when they're in range, as soon as you can. They ain't coming in, are they?
Next, it's a few Canadas.
Got more in. That one's coming back. Your one dropped down by the lake, Mush. Down by the river. They come in well, didn't they?
Disappointingly, but maybe not surprisingly, the big skeins stay away. We leave to see if they curl around to land, but they head off. It's not a massive night, but it's been brilliant fun trying something new.
Should have had a go out there, Mush.
Go for it. First attempt, not bad, interesting, a very enjoyable night.
Loved it, loved it. It's just, we're all laying out here under piles of straw and I nearly fell asleep under there. It was awesome. The geese didn't come tonight. They went out, there's some stubbles over the back there, they went to there, but hey ho. But I can see between us we'll be using these hides again, definitely. And the amount of crows and pigeons we could have shot, there was pigeons coming into these geese decoys, it was unbelievable. It was brilliant. It's quite a learning curve. I've been saying to you for a long time, David, we ought to try it. But you keep shunning it off. But now you can see why I want to try. No, sorry, David. I'll give you the credit. You have said before, let's try it. But crows are wise and wily things. But I'll tell you, they weren't tonight. They come straight to us. And
it was fascinating, actually.
yeah, it was. Yeah, Gary had a nice goose. There's one come around nice and close. He had that. He's just gone to pick another one up down the bottom there that we shot. Yeah, we've got 3 geese. Well, he'll probably pick that one as well. So it'd be 4 geese, and yeah, it was all right. It's been nice to have another half a dozen for camera. Oh, Gary's coming back. He's got his goose, so he's a happy boy.
So what did we get? 1 Egyptian.
1 Egyptian and 3 Canadas.
Christmas sorted.
Christmas sorted, David. Burgers.
Burgers.
Burgers. I did it that one then, Mush, I told you. Is that mine or yours? No, it's mine.
To find out more about Crow's Jack Pike clothing, go to jackpike.co.uk, and to discover more about the Blaser F16 shotgun, head to blaser.de.
Been good fun, mate?
Thank you, Andy, Gary and Regan. I think we'll call that work in progress. Speaking of which, here is David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The head of the Masters of Foxhounds Association has been accused of encouraging people to break the law. At a hearing in Westminster Magistrates Court this week, video of a leaked hunting office webinar was produced as evidence against Mark Hankinson. A vague recommendation by Hankinson during the webinar that hunts create a smokescreen of trails to preoccupy SABs trying to stop them is, the prosecution insists, assisting others to commit an offence. Hankinson's defence tried to strike out the video evidence because it was obtained by fraud and pointed out the Hunt Saboteurs Association, which published it online, was regarded as a domestic extremist group by the Metropolitan Police's Counter-Terrorism Department. A local council is accused of wasting time on a report about trail hunting on its land when none exists. Conservative councillor Simon Eardley slammed Cheshire West and Chester Council on social media, suggesting it should focus on existing problems such as kids getting to and from school on time, which he says they're not. The council last week voted to pause trail hunting on its land, following in the footsteps of other councils across England that also don't have trail hunting on their property. Residents of a Portsmouth suburb are fed up with foxes. Locals say there's been a surge in bitings and sightings, the most dramatic being a fox dragging away a blanket that had a baby on it. One woman says her toe was bitten while she was relaxing in her garden. Others complain their garden furniture is chewed. Despite the increasing danger to locals, some say the animals are a joy and admit they leave food out, including ham and eggs. On its website, Portsmouth City Council says it has no legal duty to get rid of the foxes, nor the money to do it. It recognises that about 60% of the fox population needs to be killed to control fox numbers. The council recommends residents stop feeding the animals. Nature Scot has decided to cut all funding for goose management on Orkney. The government body, formerly Scottish Natural Heritage, says it will still advise the goose group culling the birds, which have grown to out-of-control numbers. BBC's Radio Orkney quotes local NFU representative Stephen Sanderson, who says this was happening despite a record amount of damage being done to barley and record numbers of geese about. He describes the cut in funding as a kick in the teeth and questions why nothing has been done to solve a problem that began in the 1990s. Now the birds are largely seen as unmanageable and a threat to the island's water supply and livestock. As we showed in our report a few weeks ago, the goose group is made up of volunteers who spend their own time and money scaring the birds off farmland. It's not just big game hunting that's popular, so are the trophies. In its current auction, Holt's Auctioneers has 36 stuffed animals and trophy lots, from red stag to warthog. James Moore of Cumbrian Auctioneers Mitchells says all taxidermy sells well, and a golden eagle is a highlight of his upcoming sale.
You are seeing more people becoming interested in it, and certainly the younger generation at that. There does seem to be a bit of a revival with it. I mean, we had in our last sale 2 Markhor skulls that came in. One of them was an Astor, big one, and that made £1,700.
Tens of thousands rallied at the weekend in France after a ban on traditional types of bird hunting. Around 59,000 people dressed in orange took to the streets to protest the top court ruling that nets and cages cannot be used to catch birds. Protesters blew hunting horns and set off firecrackers. Marchers declared it was just the latest of their rural values to be taken away. One dubbed decision makers in the capital the Taliban of Paristan, while another said the hunting skills should be passed on to younger generations. The government is considering some of the traditional hunts in a move dismissed as an attempt to grab votes in the 2022 elections. A European ban on lead could spell the end of competitive shooting. Tests by the Association of Manufacturers of Hunting and Sporting Arms and Ammunition show the precision of sport shooting with alternatives to lead bullets deteriorates considerably, making it a game of chance instead of skill. A consultation ends on Friday, and a detailed report on the findings of the ballistic tests are being submitted to ECHA, the European Chemicals Agency, by the German Manufacturers Association. Statements have also been submitted by the International Shooting Sports Federation and others that will be disadvantaged by the ban. ECHA's job is to advise. Canada's Liberals are promising to ban millions of rifles. The newly re-elected party's manifesto includes restrictions on magazine capacity that would prohibit use of millions of hunting and sporting guns. The policy requires long gun magazines capable of holding more than 5 rounds be permanently altered so they can never hold more. That may prohibit firearms with detachable magazines. Selling or transferring magazines that can hold more than 5 bullets will also be banned. Vancouver is cracking down on coyotes after dozens of attacks in the last year. Since December 2020, urban coyotes have been blamed for more than 45 attacks, some involving children. That's 4 times greater than the total for the past 40 years, according to local media. Press reports suggest the infestation is caused by people feeding the animals, although studies show the real problem is the animals have lost their fear of humans. A cull of 35 coyotes is planned, but despite the attacks, thousands of British Columbia residents have signed a petition against it. The Save Vancouver's Coyotes petition has gained more than 10,000 signatures. A billionaire hunter is donating millions of dollars to wildlife conservation in Africa. Walmart founder Rob Walton and his wife Melani's foundation is committing a whopping $100 million for the continent. A big chunk of the cash is going to African Parks, which manages 19 reserves covering 14.7 million hectares and has 3,200 staff. The organisation, founded in 2000, says the money will be spent on reducing poaching, increasing wildlife numbers and improving the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people living by its parks. Democratic lawmakers in the US state of Wisconsin are trying to stop wolf hunting. A bill being drawn up changes wording in the statute about hosting the annual hunt from shall to may, meaning it has the option not to host it. The state is already preparing for an autumn hunt as wolf numbers are increasing, according to Safari Club International. At the same time, Wyoming is asking the Fish and Wildlife Service to resume management of grizzlies. Governor Mark Gordon says there are more than 1,000 bears, which shows a recovered and viable population. And finally, rangers have arrested several hunters after it was found they bagged nearly 500 squirrels. The men took 2 days to kill 471 squirrels. However, there are seasons for squirrel shooting in US states, and that's 151 above the state limit. Missouri Department of Conservation agents were tipped off by a concerned citizen. The extra 151 squirrels are being held as evidence pending a court hearing. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Now you have seen the reviews. I'm 930 iBreeder, Breeder Zenith, Zenith L, Mossberg 500. Don't take his word for it. You be the judge at the South Yorkshire Shooting Show this weekend. The team from UK distributor Viking Arms will be there with breeders and Mossbergs for you to try out on the range, plus the new Leupold BXT binoculars. Meanwhile, I will be at the Scottish Game Fair at Scone Palace on Saturday, so look forward to seeing you there. Next, with the pheasant shooting season not far away, what's the story behind the white pheasant? The white pheasant is mainly annoying for gamekeeper Charlie Wilson. You may remember Charlie. He made a fleeting appearance in the 2012 Olympics when his son, double trap gold medalist Peter Wilson, interrupted a BBC TV interview to shout, "Dad!" Today, Peter runs the shoot and employs his dad as gamekeeper.
So we shoot 6 days a year. We're a family shoot. We used to be syndicated, but this is our first year out on our own. So Dad and I are keepering. I do most of the work and Dad tries to pretend that he does a bit. We spend most of our time arguing. In fact, the only thing we argue about is to shoot.
I've never yet won any of the arguments.
No, that's my goal, is to win them all. I don't like losing.
All right, tell me about the white pheasants, because that's why we're here today.
Well, they're a surprise. They're courtesy of
Bettis Hall.
Bettis Hall, who
bailed us out.
We got in a muddle.
We didn't get in a muddle. Dad forgot to order any pheasants.
No,
so
I did.
We were
order
getting
pheasants.
the pens ready.
We don't want to mention Glenn's name.
The three of us. No.
But
poor old
we
Hodgie.
thought we'd ordered it.
Basically, Dad had never rung to order any pheasants. Dad pretends that there was.
Ring.
No, he didn't.
He
Dad,
said I hadn't made up my mind about how many thousand we were going to have.
So we were getting the pens ready for nothing. But we are now ready, and we have 6. I think we got 6, or is it 8?
No, we had a
white
whole,
pheasants.
we had a whole crate of them. But
no, we didn't.
Unfortunately, the buzzard had 1 or 2 or 3.
I think we had a dozen. But anyway, we've got some. So thank you.
But does better source supply with white pheasants even if you don't want them?
Yep.
Yeah, by the sound of things, I think if
good,
you're sensible, we actually got all our maths wrong. So we've got 5 pens. We ended up putting far too many in one, and then the rest have got very few. So
what was your idea?
That was your idea.
A century ago, the white pheasant was a matter of pride, not argument. If you shot a white pheasant in the 19th century, you might have it stuffed. There are paintings of white pheasants going back hundreds of years. I meet Ian Hampton at the Ian Hodge Fieldsports Open Day, who runs the Duchy College gamekeeping course in Cornwall, where students manage to shoot and put down white pheasants. He says that today the bird's function is mainly as fundraiser.
So on our shoot days we use it as a bit of a charity fundraising thing. So if the white pheasant comes over you, you get a fine if you shoot it. If you raise your gun and you don't shoot it, you still get a fine. Or if you take a shot and you miss it, you still get a fine. So it just adds to the day a little bit of fun and a little bit of it's also handy as well because we've got a set amount of white pheasants out. So when you're going out in the mornings, and I teach the students when you're going out in the morning to have a look around, if you see the white pheasant there, you've got some idea of rough guesstimate of numbers.
The white pheasants all went in one pen, and they should never have gone in one pen.
They should have done. It's the only way we know where they've gone. If you put them 1 in each pen, how do you know which pheasant it is that's gone over there? So this is the obvious, sensible. You can understand the problem I'm having.
This is impossible.
There's one shoot that raises £5,000 a year for the East Anglian Air Ambulance thanks to its white pheasants. And the white pheasant is celebrated in Cambridgeshire as the name of a gastropub. In the West Country, Jaff Jefferson describes how his gamekeeper grandfather would have used white pheasants, and to illustrate the point he takes me out onto a grand old-fashioned shoot in Somerset where we find 2 white pheasants out on a bank.
We got a couple of white pheasants, Charlie. I mean, that's what we've come out to spot, and there they are. Yeah, every wood you see was all planted for shooting. Oh, a long time ago. Yeah, my granddad, he grew up on a farm, went to war in the Second World War, came back, and all basically had back then was farming or gamekeeping, really, where he came from, which was down in Devon. Yeah, and he worked on farms and went into gamekeeping. So this is probably a 2,500 acre estate. Lots and lots of drives. I mean, maybe they would have had a few more drives back then because labour was a lot cheaper.
When looking out for pheasants, it's all about the spotting. Jaff still has his granddad's old binoculars.
Yeah, they was always on his chest, or in his box, or in his car. I mean, yeah, I mean, they've seen some use. Certainly seen some use, you know.
Because let's bring this back to the white pheasants. That's one of the points of the white pheasant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's for finding where your birds are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can spot a white pheasant from anywhere. Binoculars certainly help. And they kind of say if white pheasants hang around, you know the rest of the birds are going to hang around. So they must feel pretty safe.
Today, Jaff has retired his granddad's binos and has a shiny new pair of ice skis. It's actually too good for the likes of you, I'm afraid.
Well, how can you say such a thing? No, I think they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, far more superior, obviously, because of the age and the difference and the technology that's been involved.
Thanks, Jaff. There was a series of learned articles in a national newspaper in 2020 about the amazing sighting of a white pheasant by a birdwatcher and how rare this bird is. Well, it isn't. It's been part of the countryside for hundreds of years. Thanks to iSki Binoculars for sponsoring this film. For more about iSki Skytrek HD binos like the ones Jaff is using, have a look at our first look film, link in the description below. Thanks to all who took part in that. Now, we have a series of films we recorded in the Carter Jonas Game Fair Theatre in July, which we are putting out as mini podcasts. This week I talked to TV presenter and farmer Adam Henson and Tim Woodard about the Country Food Trust and BBC Countryfile. Now, you've brought farming to a very wide audience through BBC Countryfile, and I hope you do the same through Channel 5. There is a new show out on Amazon from a bloke who doesn't seem to know very much about farming.
It's gone down well though, hasn't it?
It has, hasn't it? Have you watched it?
I've watched the first 3, and I think it's really funny. I think it's attracting a slightly different audience to the Countryfile audience, which is great. He says it as it is and explains to people how difficult it is to produce food. And you see the challenges of the weather, the legislation, the paperwork, you know, everything that goes with British farming, and also that how we produce some of the best food in the world. And so it's good, you know, it gets that message across to people in a funny way. And, you know, good luck to him. I've only met Jeremy Clarkson a couple of times. I don't know him personally, but and I understand he's now got a second series. And the more we can get the general public to understand about how food is produced and how brilliant British food is produced, and we have some of the tightest legislation in the world, whether that's for animal welfare, for the way we manage our environment, the inputs, the outputs, even our employment law, all of those things are tip-top, and we need to get on our pedestals and shout about that. We often moan about it, but it's our USP, and what we must do is get British people buying British food first and foremost, and then, you know, if we want to eat imported food, think really carefully about where it's come from and how it's been produced. So, you know, the more we can get food production and farming and the countryside on television, which seems to be happening more and more, doesn't it? You know, right across Channel 5 and other channels are realising that it's becoming more popular than makeover shows. And so, you know, that's great.
There's a link in the description below to take you to the full interview. Now, did you know that if you become a member of the Fieldsports Nation, you get our weekly show about all the goings-on behind the scenes of Fieldsports Channel? You get the chance to win amazing prizes. This week's prize is an air pistol worth £370. And you help fund the great stories that are not sponsored, making it possible for Fieldsports Channel to delve into otherwise unseen topics and keep you up to date with important news. Just follow the link below. Now, from the BBC version of the countryside to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. It's the second Saturday in September in this film, shortly after the wildfowling season opens. Ulster Outdoors and Field Sports is out for the first decent flight of the 2021-2022 season, and Fieldsports Nation member Alan Brown sends me this. In the Netherlands, Stockport Fleet took a video-making break and is now back to find that Dutch geese are getting smarter. Just putting out a few decoys no longer works. In this video, he tries something new. And Warren Hicks in the USA is on a snow goose hunt with his two sons and some friends. This is the kind of snow goose shooting you will expect. Member Danny Boyle sends me this with the remark, 8 years old but a good watch, great looking labs picking up pheasants in Northern Ireland with the late great Alan Rowntree. Mikey Cookson is out after fur, feather and fin. In this film he's lamping, ferreting and working his dogs. In South Africa, GoPro Hunter is on a 7-day big game hunt. This is day 1. Thanks to Feral Pest Control Australia for this. It's a video showing rabbit control in Western Australia with a ticker in 2-2. And this film shows enormous talent by Josh Boyd-Wilson in New Zealand. He's hunting bull tar in Westland. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click likes down on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. You can pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.